Right now, as you are listening to me, there is a good chance your spine is paying a price for a position that feels completely harmless. Maybe you are sunk deep into a soft chair after dinner, your hips sliding forward, your lower back rounded like a collapsed beach chair, your chin drifting toward your chest while the glow of a screen pulls you farther down. It feels restful. It feels normal. After 60, it can be neither. What many people call relaxing is often a slow mechanical stress test on tissues that do not recover as quickly as they once did. Discs lose water with age. Supporting muscles tire sooner. Joints that used to forgive a bad posture now complain in whispers before they scream in pain. And the dangerous part is this: the damage does not announce itself dramatically. It shows up later when you stand, when the first few steps feel rusty, when your back tightens at the sink, when a short drive suddenly feels like a punishment. Stay with me, because in a moment I am going to show you the sitting position that causes the most trouble, why 20 minutes matters more than most people realize, and how to protect your spine without giving up comfort. Medline Plus, Harvard Health. Most people think this is simply about manners or stiffness. Sit up straight, stop slouching, pull your shoulders back, and problem solved. That is the surface story. It is not the real story. The real story begins in ordinary rooms. The breakfast table where you lean over a crossword. The recliner where your pelvis slides forward during the evening news. The car seat that feels fine for 10 minutes and punishing by the time you reach the pharmacy. The waiting room chair where you quietly shift from one side to the other because your back is already asking for mercy. According to guidance from major health institutions, posture is not cosmetic at all. It is about preserving the three natural curves of the spine so weight is distributed the way your body was designed to carry it. When those curves are repeatedly flattened or exaggerated, muscles, ligaments, discs, joints, breathing mechanics, and even balance can be affected. After 60, that equation becomes less forgiving. The discs in your lower back are usually less hydrated than they once were. The small stabilizing muscles that help keep you upright may be weaker if daily life includes long stretches of sitting. Arthritis may already be narrowing the margin for error. A posture that barely bothered you at 50 can feel punishing at 65. That is why a person can sit through an entire television program feeling only mildly uncomfortable, then stand up and feel as if someone secretly replaced their back with a stiff board. Harvard Health notes that poor posture can also interfere with breathing and place extra stress on surrounding tissues, which means this issue reaches beyond pain alone. When the rib cage collapses and the head drifts forward, the body works harder than it should just to stay in place. Keep that image in mind, because it connects to something I will share shortly. The position that feels most cushioned is often the one that robs your spine of support. Most people believe they already know the answer to this. Most people are wrong. So the question becomes, if comfort can deceive you this easily, what is your spine actually experiencing in those quiet 20-minute stretches? Medline Plus. Medline Plus Harvard Health. But here is where things take a turn most people never see coming. The posture that does the quietest damage is rarely the dramatic one. It is not the person bent over lifting a box in the garage. It is the person sitting almost motionless in a rounded C shape, pelvis tucked under, lower back flattened, rib cage collapsed, shoulders drifting forward, head hanging just enough to shift extra strain into the neck and upper back. The numbers tell a story most people do not want to hear. Health experts routinely connect prolonged sitting, poor sitting posture, fewer movement breaks, and low back symptoms in everyday adults. And clinicians who work with older patients see that same pattern repeat in homes everywhere. Picture a woman over 65 perched on the edge of her bed, pulling on socks, with her spine curled like a question mark, then carrying that same shape to the kitchen stool while she answers messages on her phone. Then to the family dinner table, where she leans toward her plate because the chair gives her no support. Picture a man watching baseball in a recliner that lets him sink lower and lower until his tailbone takes the load and his chin is almost resting on his chest. None of those moments look dramatic. Together, they create a chain of strain. The lower back loses its gentle inward curve. The upper back rounds. The head shifts forward. Now the muscles along the neck and shoulder blades must work overtime just to hold you up, and the tissues around the lower spine are absorbing load in a shape they were never meant to maintain for half an hour at a time. Cleveland Clinic specialists warn that poor posture can contribute not only to neck and back pain, but also to joint stress and balance problems over time. That matters deeply after 60 because pain changes behavior. When movement hurts, you move less. When you move less, muscles weaken. When muscles weaken, posture worsens. Then a grocery trip feels longer, stairs feel less steady, and getting out of a car becomes a little production instead of a simple motion. There is a reason for this, and it has everything to do with how aging tissues tolerate load, recover from compression, and respond to stillness. And if you think that was alarming, the mechanism behind it is even more important. Cleveland Clinic Harvard Health Medline Plus. To understand why, we need to look at what is actually happening at the tissue level, and I promise to make it simple. Imagine your spine as the mast of an old sailing ship. The vertebrae are the stacked wooden sections. The discs between them are shock-absorbing pads. The deep muscles and ligaments are the ropes that keep everything centered when the wind shifts. In a healthy upright sit, those ropes share the work. In a prolonged slump, the angle changes. The lumbar curve flattens, sometimes even reverses. The upper back rounds, and more of the load drifts onto passive tissues that were never meant to hold that shape for long. Harvard Health explains that a hunched sitting position reverses some of the spine's natural curves. Medline Plus notes that slouching and slumping can misalign the musculoskeletal system and make the spine more vulnerable to injury. A study narrative from the medical literature adds another valuable clue. Even when obvious muscle fatigue is not dramatic after a short period of slumped sitting, discomfort rises significantly, which tells us the body is sensing mechanical stress before a major injury ever occurs. That warning matters. After 60, discs are generally less hydrated. Facet joints may already be irritated. Ligaments can become less resilient. Muscles that once corrected your position automatically may fatigue faster if you have become more sedentary over the years. So when you sink backward into a soft couch and let your pelvis roll under, the tissues in the lower back are not being crushed like a soda can in a single instant. It is subtler than that. They are being loaded in a way that encourages strain, stiffness, and repeated irritation. If your chin also drops toward your chest, the upper spine and neck pay their own price, because the farther the head drifts forward, the more the surrounding muscles must brace. Breathing can even become shallower when the chest caves in. That is why some people feel tired at the same time after sitting too long. Before I get to the solution, you need to understand this first. Discomfort is often your body's early alarm system, not an inconvenience to ignore. But here is the good news, and this is where everything changes. Harvard Health, Medline Plus, PubMed Central. I know this sounds overwhelming, so let me slow down for a moment and turn it into real life. The most dangerous sitting position after 60 is usually not sitting itself. It is unsupported, rounded sitting that locks you into stillness. You know the posture. You slide forward in a recliner until your tailbone is bearing the load. Your lower back loses contact with support. Your chest caves inward. Your shoulders drift ahead of your hips. Then the body goes quiet. 10 minutes pass. 15. 20. When you stand, you push off the armrest, pause, and wait for your back to straighten like an old hose that has been bent in the sun. In the bathroom mirror the next morning, you may notice you are standing with your head a little farther forward than before. At the kitchen counter, you lean one forearm down because your back tires quickly while making tea. In the car, the ache creeps in before the second traffic light. Those are not random annoyances. They are signals. Mayo Clinic and Medline Plus both emphasize the same practical principles. Feet supported, thighs comfortably positioned, lower back supported, shoulders relaxed, screen or reading material closer to eye level, and frequent changes in position. There was a time when many people assumed the answer to back discomfort was simply more rest and softer furniture. Recent guidance has moved in a more intelligent direction. Support matters more than softness. Alignment matters more than habit. Movement matters more than endurance. The answer involves something most people walk right past in the house every day: the chair itself. A seat that is too deep, too soft, or too low makes your pelvis roll back and steals the lumbar curve your spine depends on. A small rolled towel behind the low back can completely change that geometry. So can lifting a screen, supporting the feet, and refusing to remain motionless. Not forever. Just often enough to interrupt the stress before it becomes stiffness. This next part is the reason I wanted to speak so plainly today. Because once you know which sitting habits to stop, you can change the whole trajectory of how your spine feels by the end of the week. Mayo Clinic Medline Plus. Think about someone you love. Picture them at their kitchen table right now, finishing lunch, then staying there for another half hour with their spine folded over a tablet because the chair feels padded and safe. That is the first habit I want gone. Stop collapsing into seats that swallow your hips. A soft couch, a low recliner, even a dining chair that is too low can tilt the pelvis backward and flatten the low back. The second habit is perching without support while reaching forward. This happens on the edge of the bed when you check your phone, on a backless stool while sorting mail, and in the doctor's office when you lean toward your knees because the waiting room chair feels awkward. That forward reach is a quiet amplifier of spinal load. The third habit is crossing one leg over the other for long stretches while twisting toward a conversation or a television. It looks graceful. It can leave the pelvis uneven and the lower back irritated. The fourth habit is sitting through discomfort because you do not want to interrupt the movie, the card game, the church service, or the drive. Your body loves variety. Cleveland Clinic clinicians stress that even with an excellent setup, regular movement matters because static posture fatigues tissues. The fifth habit may surprise you most: staying rounded after a long car ride, then lifting groceries, a laundry basket, or a grandchild before your back has reset. Medline Plus specifically warns that long sitting and driving can flare back pain and advises movement breaks and support behind the lower back. There is one more modern habit worth naming. Stop dropping your head toward your phone for 20 minutes at a time while the rest of your spine slumps to meet it. The neck and upper back are part of this story too. If I asked you right now to name the most dangerous room in your house, what would you say? Many people would never name the living room, yet that is where prolonged slumping often starts. I will explain exactly why the fix is simpler than you think in a moment. But first, you need to hear what to do instead of merely sitting less. Cleveland Clinic Medline Plus, Mayo Clinic. And this is exactly why waiting is not an option, because the fix is not dramatic surgery or expensive equipment for most people. It is a better sitting strategy practiced repeatedly until it becomes automatic. Start by sitting all the way back so your back can actually meet the chair. Support the natural inward curve of the lower back with the chair itself or a small rolled towel. Keep both feet planted or use a footrest so your thighs are supported instead of dangling. Bring the book, crossword, tablet, or plate closer to you instead of chasing it with your head and shoulders. If you are reading in bed, prop the material up so your spine is not curling forward to meet it. If you are in the car, pause and reset your seat before the ache begins. Set a quiet timer for 20 minutes if you need to. When it sounds, stand, reach tall, walk to the window, roll the shoulders, and reset. Short breaks matter. Research and clinical guidance alike keep circling back to the same idea. Tissues tolerate movement better than prolonged stillness. Add a second layer of protection by training the muscles that hold you upright. That can be as simple as daily walking with your chest open, gentle chin tucks, shoulder blade squeezes, and core-focused exercise approved by your clinician. Harvard Health and Cleveland Clinic both emphasize strengthening and posture awareness because support for the spine does not come from furniture alone. It comes from your body learning to carry itself well again. If pain shoots down your leg, if numbness persists, if weakness shows up, or if back pain follows a fall, that is not a wait-and-see situation. That is a conversation for a medical professional. Let me ask you something. After hearing all of this, what is the one thing you are going to change starting tonight? Tell me below. Take a breath. What comes next is actually going to give you real hope. Because a spine that has been irritated by bad sitting can feel very different once you stop feeding the pattern. In just a moment, I am going to show you what that future can look like. Harvard Health, Cleveland Clinic, Medline Plus. Here is what I want you to carry with you when this ends. Growing older does not mean your spine is doomed to fold, harden, or hurt every time you sit down. It means your body asks for a little more honesty from you. It asks you to notice what used to be easy to ignore. The deep chair that feels luxurious for the first 5 minutes. The long phone call taken with your head bowed. The afternoon of paperwork at the dining table. The road trip with no walking break. The late evening in the recliner when you tell yourself you are resting, even as your shoulders creep forward and your lower back goes numb. Those moments are not trivial. They are votes. Each one either teaches your body to collapse or reminds it how to stay supported. And that is why this message matters so much after 60. Pain steals small things first. It steals the ease of standing up after breakfast. It steals the pleasure of sitting through a grandchild's recital without shifting every minute. It steals the confidence to travel, to garden, to kneel, to cook, to laugh at the table without bracing your lower back when you get up. But protection also starts with small things. One better chair, one towel behind the low back, one promise to stand before stiffness sets in, one daily walk, one decision, not to confuse softness with support. As Dr. Arthur Bennett, I can tell you this with complete sincerity. I have seen people change the feel of their back, not by chasing miracle cures, but by removing the quiet forces that keep aggravating it every day. If you have been slumping for years, do not punish yourself with guilt. Start with awareness. Start tonight. Sit back. Support the curve. Put both feet down. Lift what you are reading to eye level. Move before your body begs you to. Then watch what happens over the next week when standing feels smoother, when the ache arrives later, when your shoulders stop creeping toward your ears, when your steps feel steadier crossing the kitchen floor in the morning. That is not magic. That is mechanics working in your favor again. Send this to someone over 60 who spends evenings in a recliner or long hours at a kitchen table, because they may think they are resting when they are actually straining the very structure that carries them through life. You now know what most people will never learn. Use it. Protect yourself. Protect the people you love. Medline Plus, Harvard Health, Mayo Clinic.